Meeting of the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District, District Advisory Committee, or DAC for short. DAC serves more than 105,000 residents in a 27 square mile area, including the city of Milwaukee and a large area of unincorporated Clackamas County. Tonight's meeting is held in person on Wednesday, February 14th at the North Clackamas Aquatic Center and virtually on Zoom. Public comment will be taken at the designated time. You can find our meeting agenda and other helpful information at ncprd.com under District Advisory Committee. My name is Jeanette DeCastro. I'm our chair. And I will invite the other folks on our District Advisory Committee, our NCPRD staff, and if any board of directors who are here to please introduce themselves, share your role and your sub area if that's appropriate. And if you'd like to share your pronouns, you can. We have name tags on the table, and so that's how you indicate that you'd like to speak and be recognized. So I started Jeanette DeCastro, she, they, sub area 3, also chair. We'll go to our left.
So first of all, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Galentine's Day. No disrespect to the men here, but you know, we have to have our due. So I'm Cindy Becker and I am the acting director of NCPRD.
Hi, Lydia Larson, NCPRD employee.
Dominic Cortinas, Deputy Director, NCPRD.
Mark Elliott, Vice Chair of the DAC and from Sub Area 2.
And I'm Allie Fierstein, she, her, and I'm from Sub Area 5.
Joel Bergman, I'm representing the community centers.
Hi, I'm Maureen Tom. I'm a longtime resident and represent sub area 4.
Jeff Munz, Assistant County Counsel.
Paul Savis, Board of Directors, Liaison, Board Representative to this group, and I'm a non-voting member, and I live in Zone 2, or Sub Area 2.
And I'm Grover Bornefeld, and I the representative from Sub Area 1.
Thank you. And do we have any folks on Zoom?
We do. We have 6.
Okay, are any of them DAC members? No, great, thank you. So our first action item this evening is to approve the meeting summary from January 10th of 2024.
So moved.
Okay.
I move.
So Grover
I'll second.
moves, okay, Joel seconds. All right. Thank you. So we will, are there any amendments to call on, or sounds like they're good to go? Okay, thank you. Motion passes to approve our meeting summary. Our next action item is listed under approval of alternate representative for sub areas. And I'll recognize that that is also included in our bylaws discussion under the discussion agenda as well. Colin Grover.
Hi there. So I love that we're finally having this conversation and we get to see what it's like not to have alternates, but I would like to move that we accept Anita Blackmar, former DAC member and resident of Sub Area 2, as an alternate between now and the end of this time cycle, which would be the end of June.
I will second that.
Any discussion or questions? Cindy?
Thank you. Just a little background. We've had some discussions about it's not personal about Anita, it's about having alternates because the bylaws don't have any provisions for that. And it was my understanding way back when the DAC came together that was why you all have, there's 2 representatives from each sub area. However, there's concerns raised that it's a yeah, but because even though you have 2, if there's votes or this or that, there's still a gap, there's still a void. And so we're going to talk about the bylaws in a little while, but I want you to know that this we want to open this opportunity to any vacant position. So it's not just this one. And so that's why we let you know that if there are other folks who would like to be an alternate for the other positions. We're not talking about the positions that expire in, not expired, I'm saying, at the end of June, but the midterm vacancies. So what I'd like to bring to your attention, if you go ahead and approve on that you also approve of other subzones, bring the sub-area or subzone?
Sub-areas.
Sub-area, bring potential alternates.
Good, and thank you for that, and I'd like to just add some more onto that. In this very room, the district advisory board created the bylaws, and one of the things, there was discussion, and there was some people who thought alternates were extraneous and just more trouble. Having been on many boards, alternates is what actually keeps continuity, and given our desire is to increase the involvement, not just be a couple of people here and a couple of people there, it keeps moving that forward. That coupled with, there is a document that's in today's agenda that was approved by the Board of Directors or NCPRD. And it specifically is called it's the right front page, the District Advisory Committee Task Force Guideline Document. And in it, on page 7, it actually says special election for partial expired terms may be held or alternates may be appointed. So we have a standing. It wasn't just that we decided we do that. This is an approved document by the Board of Directors. So that was the standing and by which I wanted to nominate.
I'll call on myself and then Ally. So just to mention as well that sub-area 3 currently has a vacancy and have offered some ways to get in touch with interested in community members. So that loop is being connected right now as well.
Yeah, my quick question is, I heard that, this is a former DAC member, is that correct? So does that mean that, this nominee has already served their time?
They were staggered. When they started their, sorry if I may, but
Sure, please.
and I think this is probably you're gonna touch on, when they started, we had to stagger the appointment times, and for example, Anata's drew the short straw, or maybe the lucky straw, or whatever, however you look at it, and turned out, I think, after just 1 year,
Okay,
or maybe 2 years.
I think they're 2-year and 3-year.
okay.
So it just was the way it's, so
Some people got 1, some people got 2, some people got 3, and
while it did officially, she served her full term, it wasn't technically, I guess, a full term by the new standard.
Okay, because when I understand correctly, it's 4 years that you can serve.
twice. You can serve
Twice.
2 terms back to back. Non-consecutive, you could serve forever, but only 2 consecutive, and she hasn't done that yet either.
Right. Thank you for the chime-ins. That was helpful. Joel.
I'm
thank you.
sorry, I just wanted to clarify though, and I'm not sure we can, or maybe council, so are we talking about amending the bylaws right now?
We'll talk about that
Or
in a
are
little
we
bit.
talking,
We can.
right, well, I mean, but what are we seeking approval of an alternate? And then we're gonna discuss amending the bylaws to allow for alternates? Isn't that cart before the horse?
No,
Or am I reading that wrong? I mean, I'm just, this is housekeeping stuff.
My
I had-
understanding is that the language is not so rigid as to prevent us from adding someone in this situation we have where there was a resignation 6 months before the end of term.
No, I understand that. I guess I'm just wondering why aren't we having the discussion about the bylaws and then moving on to this, because it seems like we follow the natural course of the discussion.
It was an Ouroboros.
you want to go first?
So, yeah, action items are going before discussion items, so that's why, the bylaws discussion isn't just about
Sure.
this. We're gonna have a broader conversation about the bylaws, but, the bylaws are silent on it. And so and then there's this other document, so it's kind of confusing, and so basically we said, well, let's not be crazy about this and just, go ahead and from a legal point of view, there's really nothing stopping this. So
Just get another body.
we want to be more inclusive, as was brought up.
Okay, and I think, Mark, you were next.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, so if Anata is appointed, I guess she is, maybe not, yeah,
Right,
but would,
You have to do the.
would Anata be a voting member? I guess is the
Yeah.
question. Is that correct?
You're not.
Thank you.
I just want to maybe get legal counsel to chime in here. So my understanding is the nominating process happens here, the appointing happens at the commission level, if I'm not mistaken. And so I think Anna would be great. I know she's great. So I'd be supportive of that, but I would certainly like to make sure that legal counsel chimes in here. And if there's any inconsistency with the bylaws or understanding, but you saw page 7.
Yep, I have page 7, and I think that it's a good point, showing your bylaws, like Cindy said, are sound on this point. And so if you want to be strict about it, and say, well, it's not in there, you can't do it. However, I think we're looking at modifications to all of these, and Paul's correct that this is something where you nominate and then finally appointed by the board when it goes to them. So it shouldn't be elected officially today to participate in votes, which I guess is, to answer your question directly. But I think at this point, it's more about, I think, filling these gaps today and trying to get this taken care of, to get the housekeeping out of the way and then move forward. But yes, I think this is a good way to do it as far as fixing these gaps, so you have clarity going forward, so we don't have to take up this time with housekeeping to make regular substance.
And one other detail, because there's no one in the seat, it's not really an alternate. So is it more proper to have someone fill the partially expired term?
That's the best terminology, yes, for that nomination, yeah.
So if you could amend the motion to fill the expired term, but and strike alternate, that might speak until.
Yes.
Yeah, well, so my only response to that is I don't know, since it being Ryan's term, I don't know what his term is, and that's one of the things I'd like to get some clarification, so we can actually know what everybody's expiration date is. There's 3 people will be filling terms, and then 2 people will be filling full terms to replace Maureen and I. But I don't have a document to see what people's term expiration is. So I don't know what Ryan's is, and I don't know that Anita is interested in or willing to serve the full time for whatever Ryan's term is. But I do know that she would be willing to serve between now and the end of the cycle at the end of June. So that's my answer to that.
That was good. My second question was how long would it be? Because I know that there are people interested in representing District 3 or sub area of the so I also want to be fair to those who are considering it.
Okay, I'd like to call on Cindy.
So here, there's an item here, which is 3B. We're going to talk about the process of filling all the vacancies, the current vacancy and the ones coming up in June. And that will include this position. And so if Anita wants to apply for that, she could do that. And so essentially she would be the, I don't know what you want to call it, whether we just call it Alice, whatever it, because she will, what I'm thinking you're wanting is for her to fill this position until a replacement has been found. And if she wants to apply to be that replacement, she can do that as well, but we'll still go out and recruit for that position.
What were you
Okay.
referring to? I just didn't hear what you said. You were referring to some particular
I was just saying, we're gonna talk about the process for filling
in the agenda.
the agenda, yes.
Okay, so for me to regroup, thank you. We have a motion on the floor to add Anita Blackmar for the vacant DAC role for sub area 2. And how would we wordsmith that to make sure that it conveys that they would serve until July or till June 30th?
I would say they would serve until such time as the replacement is approved.
Okay, can I ask for a friendly amendment to our?
Sure, special motion. Yeah. The wording here doesn't agree because it says till the expired term, and we don't know what Ryan's expired term time is, but. Pardon me?
I thought that was sent out for some reason in the original packet.
Or just say what she said.
Okay, good. So I amend my motion to being that I recommend that Anita be approved to serve as a representative from sub area 2. Until which time a replacement has been provided. Or her term, whatever that is, expires. And who seconded?
I did, yeah, and I amend that, I accept amendment.
I think that's my time to call for a vote. All in favor?
However we want to do this, just make sure we don't miss anything.
Motion passes.
So as an alternate, she can come sit, she can't vote, I understand.
Well, she's not approved yet by the Board of County Commissioners,
Right.
correct? So technically, she's still not a member. Am I incorrect? And, I mean, I don't care. I would love on it to be up here, but
Oh, come on, Cynthia, for God's sake.
Donna to bring the cookies. I mean, she has to sit up here.
You know, you can be invited, just can't vote.
So you can invite her.
Yeah, would you please come sit at the table? Thank you. And while we have a good pause, I'd like to have our folks who joined us introduce themselves.
Oh, yeah, late, Miss Fatima.
Lisa Beatty, I don't know why, but I made the crazy mistake of going to the Milwaukee Community Center.
Crazy.
I was driving in there, looking at the new construction of the senior place, and I'm like, oh, this isn't where it's supposed to be.
Well, I'm glad we're all here now. This is fantastic. So, and I would love to bring us to agenda item number 3, which is our bylaws discussion, and I'd like to hand that over to you. I'm not a bylaws wonk, I have to say.
Yeah, bylaws are not my life either, however,
They're important.
they are very important, and we talked about this actually with Jeanette and with Mark. Bylaws are out of sync with in a variety of different areas, not only the alternate, the goals that you all have put together are different than the goals in the bylaws. The selection process for new members are different than that are in the bylaws, because they're in these other documents. And so the bylaws are just, they're not aligned with where things are going, where things are today. And also there's some other areas we don't think are clear. And so what we talked about is, excuse me, we would meet with your chair and co-chair, vice chair, have a discussion, and then bring that to the full DAC for further discussion. And so I'll open it up, but that's really it. It's nothing more exotic than that.
Did you say you have met or will meet?
We haven't. We just, at our last DAC agenda setting meeting, we talked about this. And agreed that that would make sense to start the conversation and then bring it to the full DAC for more conversation.
Great.
Does that work?
Could that be an open meeting?
All meetings are open meetings, you already know that.
Okay, but I know when that meeting is.
No.
It has not yet been scheduled.
Okay, so when it is, good. I would like to know when it is.
I'm sure you would.
I'll take you up on that, thank you.
And then the next item, anyway, so thank you, and thank you for Mark and Jen for agreeing to do this. And we'll set up some time to do it. And John.
Great, okay. So thank you. We'll go to agenda item 3B. Ask Dominic to take that from there.
Sure. So before I get into the nominations, I did look up real quick while we're here, expiration dates for these vacancies that we currently have. So I'll just orally update that real quick. Ryan's, he expired 6/25. Katie Scott was 6/24, and David Gillum was 6/26. Just to give you an idea of potential timelines.
To bring up the audience, could you clarify what subzones those are?
So I can. So Ryan, sub area 2. Katie Scott was sub area 3. And David was sub area 4. In addition to those 3, we're going to have 2 expiring terms that come up in June of this year, sub area 4, Marine, and then sub area 1, Grover. So with that said, we talked last DAC meeting about the process to fill our current vacancies that we have. But with the timeline that we're dealing with in filling these these positions, it lines up with either refilling Grover or Marine's position based on how we have to get this information out to the community. So I will go over this timeline that's included in the packet real quick, and then you can ask any questions. I will say, this is kind of a Cliff Notes version of it, but I think a lot of people were curious about the timeline and the process and how we get new people on the DAC. So, to start off with, before the open positions, applications can be taken, it has to be,
Where in the packet are you starting?
I'm on page. Yes, yeah, page 1, 2, 3, 4. So, under DAC, NCPRD, DAC recruitment. So I won't read too much because I know everyone can read, but basically we had to give a 90-day notice, and we worked with PGA to get that in their wheelhouse before these positions can officially be out on the street, that we have open positions. So that's where we're at right now. So we're kind of in a holding pattern until those 90 days expire. At that point, we're going to move on to making a request to PGA, and that'll be done by NCPRD. Later that month in March.
I'm gonna interrupt you.
yes,
PGA stands for,
Public and government.
Yeah,
affairs.
that is part of Clackamas County, sorry. So,
for the benefit. Oh,
yes,
thank you.
so thank you very much,
Yeah, I
sorry.
had the same question.
It's hard to realize the terminology that we use on a day-to-day basis isn't layman's terms, so.
They oversee advisory, all the advisory board.
Mhm. So PGA's role and with NCBRD will be to help publicize this also. So we will work hand in hand with our partner into getting this information out so that we get as many applications as possible, and they'll help us throughout this entire process. We'll be working with our marketing and communications team also to getting this information out. So in this document, it lets know whose responsibility, who be doing different areas of this recruitment. So and we also encourage people in your sub areas to get the word out. So DAC members can help spread the word. That would be even better. So just looking on the timeline, we're looking to start really ramping up in March, finishing up in May, and there's things in between that happen. Ultimately, people will fill out applications. The DAC will interview, and then they will come up with a nominee that will need to go before the board of directors. The term starts July 1, so ideally we would have this nomination before the board of directors. I believe it would be in the May meeting or June meeting. I don't know typically what happens. I think it's probably going to be at the June agenda because May is when the nominations will be voted on and decided from each sub area. So this packet also includes, and I don't want to waste too much time, but there's an agenda on how to take people through this process when doing these nomination, voting, and recommendation meetings. So it's very detailed out. It's scripted, so there's not a lot of confusion. In the past, we've held these meetings at the Concord facility. When we did it this last time, where everybody gathered in one room, and then you just broke out into your sub area rooms to do voting specific to your sub area. Because Concord's under construction, that's not available to us, but we're flexible and can make different areas available. It's also has an option to do it online also. But if the DAC would like to have in-person option, this facility can be available, or we can find an alternate facility to make it available for these nominations and votings to take place. But it's all outlined pretty easily here. NCPRD will help facilitate all of that and getting people's names and contact information throughout this entire process. Is there any questions?
So I had a quick question, and I know the Milwaukee Community Center would be a terrific venue for, but just so I'm clear then, for Ryan, Katie, and David's positions that would be recruiting, obviously, Anita's filling in now. Those positions would be filled to end their current terms, correct? And then the two where Maureen and Grover's, those would be just so we're keeping that staggered.
Right. So the two of us would be for new 4-year terms. And
Correct.
would
The others would just be filling out the remainder of whatever term the person was. Okay, thank you.
So yeah, we can look at the Milwaukee Community Center.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Yes. So first of all, thank you for putting this sheet together. I'm intimately familiar with the document you pulled it from, and I actually want to give a lot of kudos to Anita as well. She and Dave and I and a few other people were the authors of that. And we've been through the process now a number of times. There's a couple of things that I would like to suggest for minor tweaks and dates. When you talked about that it would be done by May, I don't think it quite can be. And the reason that the two meetings are two meetings, and we did start, by the way, all on Zoom. So I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about it, but, and then we went into hybrid. The only and first hybrid meeting was the one that we did this last year. Point being is, there needs to be time between the first meeting to generate more activity with a group of people who are not used to meeting together, haven't been coming to meetings, haven't been invited to meetings, that's people in the sub areas. And then that leads to more people coming in the second meeting, and by then there still can be time for candidates to still apply. So I'd like to challenge or suggest an application, instead of the application close on the 30th, I think it would be more appropriate for it to close on May 23rd to 26th before the fourth meeting. And the fourth meeting, you have to watch for things like, because in the, the second meeting, it says the week of the 20th. Well, that is the week that the Oak Grove Community Council is meeting. So that same Wednesday, Mark wouldn't be available, Anita wouldn't be available, etc. So we need to look for other conflicting things. So I'd recommend that we'd meet instead on the 5th of June. There's still plenty of time because they don't have to be approved by the board until our next meeting, which is the second Wednesday in July. So there's time in there from June 5th. If the vote was taken on June 5th, there'd be till time for it to go before the board and they'd be approved before their first meeting. So those are the dates that would, in my opinion, need to be considered to be slightly differently when you close the applications and what the dates of the two meetings are. And that's my 2 cents.
Well, I will defer to the DAC because this is your board. These are suggested timelines that we put together to give you guys at least an outline of the process on how we thought it would proceed, not knowing conflicting meetings and things like that, but this gives us at least a starting point and some direction on which way to go. So I'll defer to you guys. But if you guys have any modifications, I think this is a two-way communication and we'll do our best to accommodate.
Yeah. And I want to add at the top of this, kudos for the sheet you made. So thanks for doing that.
So, I'm Nick's a nicer person than I am, and it would be really helpful if you would send us your suggestions on email. We'll look at them. We also have different dates for the budget, for the county budget that's also being delayed. And so we have to make sure that we can do it in terms of our facilitation help. So just, it would be great to, because other people may have some suggestions as well around the table. So just like to open up to everybody. If anyone has suggestions or comments about this, send them to us so we can consider them all at once and see how we can make this work for everyone. Okay.
Point of clarification?
Yes,
Well,
sir.
your thing, so.
Defer to Grover.
Okay, I was just clear. You said who's going to decide? I'm sorry, who will make this determination? Is this the DAC doing it?
We will look at modifying
Who's we?
these
Sorry,
dates.
the question was who's we?
Staff will look at modifying the dates and bring it back to DAC.
Okay, so
We
then
don't
the
like it,
DAC will choose what the dates are?
Yes,
Based on
but
staff
we also have
recommendation?
to, yes, we want to make sure that it's done accommodating the DAC, but we also have staff support here, so we have to make sure that staff are available as well. That's really all we're saying.
Okay,
Okay, I'll call on myself next. So I was going to suggest that we provide the important dates of meetings, and because part of the representation of a sub area is that we know our community and we can provide that kind of helpful feedback. But I noticed there's room for fine tuning. I don't want to run afoul of budget season, which I know is very a heavy time at the county level and at the district level. So it sounds like we'll continue the dialogue by providing feedback to our staff, and then they can bring back in March some refined dates for us to look at. Sounds like that will work.
that's good.
Okay.
One question, we still like to kick off the process and not wait until the March meeting to kick it off in terms of submitting the stuff that we have to. Is that okay?
Yes, please. Thank you. Important point. Yeah, we want to notice it as soon as possible,
Yeah.
right? We want to give as much time as possible.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Did that finish us up for?
Unless there's any more questions.
Can I just ask you one more time on the time, the dates? Ryan was 2025. I didn't get Katie and David. I apologize.
Katie is 24. And then David is 26.
Okay, so Katie would have gone off this
Right.
year if she had not resigned, so it'll be a full term, Okay.
Right.
Comment.
Oh, yes, please.
When this is all done in June or July or May, whatever it's done, I might suggest that. Well, during the process, many of you participate in that as you can, even though you maybe have a term you don't need to participate, but I would suggest you do, because I have heard. Considering my friend here, Grover, you know. Some people think it's a little bit clunky, this process. It's unique. It's the only committee that has this process. So I'd really like to know how you feel about it. And also gauge how much community participation is taking place, not only at the nominating committee, but at the sub area meeting kind of a thing on, it had a great concept. I just want to make sure it's fulfilling it and that you're happy with it, right? Not up to me, it's all up to you. But I have heard some concerns from former members that it's, I'll just use the word clunky.
Do you have a comment on that agenda item, or are we moving over to the next one?
That agenda item and
Briefly,
commissioners,
if we could.
okay, the whole reason we have this process, and if I was so glad you included it in the meeting packet. It is, how do we go from the original forming of the district? And there were 5 very active sub areas, each with its own parks board as a neighborhood parks board, and lots of participation, got the first master plan done and running, all kinds of great cooperation. And then over time, the 4 sub areas that were not part of the city sort of faded away. And so this is an attempt to, clunky as it may be, and any other improvements to the system would be greatly, but I want you all to hear that if we do not get more people participating as opposed to just drive by and having opinions about, we won't be able to go out and form a district and raise any tax rates and whatnot, because people won't be in touch with how responsive NCPRD / their county government / any of it is responsive to their needs or want. And you're asking them to sign up for more time and money. So for me, it behooves us to be more inclusive. And how do we get from where we were to, which was, there was like 12 of us in the beginning, and how do we get to have more people participating? They have to feel heard, they have to feel that their inputs participating, and that part of the plan has not yet unfolded. So I just wanted to make that short comment.
I think that's a great segue into our next item, which is the system plan and our DAC, our District Advisory Committee role in the community engagement process. I think those running parallel to each other right now will probably be a boon. Who will chat next with us?
Yeah.
Great, okay.
Can I just have the NCPRD staff stand up and say who they were? I'm sorry, we didn't introduce them at the beginning. Yeah, you want to just introduce yourself?
Yes, Sally, Planning and Development Director.
Andy,
I'm Candy Ho, Recreation Services Director.
get back there.
Alice Gilbertson, Principal Planner. And
Okay.
Erin Rion, Principal Planner.
Great, thank you. Sorry I didn't do that sooner. Thank you.
Thanks.
Fantastic. Come on over here.
One quick thing before we go, Katie Scott was 2025, my mistake, said 2024, 2025.
No, it's.
So she and Ryan were both the same. She and Ryan were both the same. It doesn't fit the plan. It may have been that way, but the plan was supposed to be that even numbers. That's okay. I'd like to check that with you offline.
And so this is the same presentation that's in our packet, right?
That's correct.
Wonderful, thank you.
And you are the first to see this, and the first to hear it. Right, Lydia, are you ready? Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. As I mentioned before, my name is Kia Selly. I'm the Planning and Development Director. And I'm really pleased to be here this evening to speak with you about the exciting work that my team has started to develop a new system plan for this district. At the end of the presentation, I'll take your questions. And I want to point out that Erin Real, the project manager, is, when she just introduced herself, she's sitting in the back. Next slide. Oops. There's frozen, excuse me. Okay. The system plan is a 20-year roadmap informed by district residents that will direct how and where to invest our limited resources. Next slide. The district's last plan was approved 20 years ago. I think we can all agree that the district and district resident needs and wants have changed significantly during that time. Next slide. Here's what will be included in the plan. The assets that we have today, such as developed parks and facilities, such as the aquatic center, what's working and what isn't, resident wants and needs, and an implementation strategy that will include a list of prioritized projects and potential funding sources. Next slide. The system plan won't generate new revenue. Park and facility improvements will take time, and the plan will need to be updated over time to stay current, such as with changing resident needs and wants, as well as the availability of funding. Next slide. A system plan will inform all aspects of our business and will help ensure an integrated plan, such as striking the right balance between developing new assets while ensuring the availability of resources to operate and maintain assets. Typically, a plan like this will be refreshed with a much less intensive planning process every 5 years. Next slide. The plan has 4 distinct phases, or planning process rather, has 4 distinct phases. We've already started work on phases 1 and 2 and could use your help with these phases, which I'll talk more about later in the presentation. For phases 3 and 4, we will use this form to provide regular updates to you to receive your input. Here's the schedule. So as I mentioned, phase 1, assess current conditions, has started and will conclude later this spring. Phase 2 runs somewhat concurrently and will establish community priorities and will continue through the summer. Phase 3, plan development, will begin in the fall and will conclude in the first quarter of next year. And phase 4, our last phase, will strategize implementation, will conclude in late spring 2025 with plan adoption by the board of directors. Here's a snapshot of the different ways that we plan to engage district residents in the planning process. We will be meeting with residents and organizations throughout the district, as well as joining many community events, such as the NCPRD Lunar New Year event planned for this weekend. There are several ways for all of you to be involved in the planning process. I'd like to highlight 2 immediate and critical tasks that we really need your help on. First, we could use your help assessing the condition of our assets. And we can talk about technically what that means. And secondarily, we really need your help as community navigators. We need to make connections with people and organizations so that we're successful in engaging a broad range of district residents in the planning process. And project manager Erin Rio will be reaching out to each of you to talk about your interest in this work. So that concludes my presentation. I really wanted to save time for Q&A. And so if anybody has any questions, please feel welcome to ask.
Yes, Alex?
Yeah, so in the past, in your experience, and when you're trying to increase community engagement, My question is, what measures have you taken or what measures do you plan to take to have high engagement, including things like meeting our residents where they are? So providing childcare for families, making sure that the locations of the events are along bus lines for those who have trouble with transportation, translation services for those who don't speak English, thinking about our neurodivergent population. So I'm wondering what ideas you have in terms of yielding a high engagement process and what you already have in mind for that.
So thank you for using the term, really meeting people where they are, because I think that's really important. We'll of course have some opportunities to talk just about the system plan, but it's really important to meet people out in the community at events like the Lunar New Year celebration this weekend. So, and lowering the barriers to access, as you mentioned, also is something that we're talking a lot about. So, yeah, so you're going to see us out in the community at events in Oak Lodge this summer. You're going to see us at some of the movies in the park. I'll ask Erin to jump in here. We'll have focus groups. We'll also be meeting with all of the community planning organizations, the CPOs. Not every area within the district has an active CPO, but we're meeting with those CPOs that will allow us to. And we'll be using opportunities at school districts to meet with residents. Erin, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, at this point, we're in the process of putting together a calendar of community events that start to chart out all of those places where we can meet residents where they are. And one thing that we would love all of your help with is reviewing that and seeing if there's anything critical that we've missed. Because you all are the true experts in this community and we'd love to harness that knowledge if possible.
And later this spring, we will actually bring to you our community engagement plan so that you can take a look at that. And again, Erin will be reaching out to each of you individually. So you can talk about those different events that you know about in your area of the district that we should make sure that we attend.
Yeah, and I'd just like to highlight that the need of translation services and interpretation is going to be really important to make sure that all of our community members feel like how Grover said so nicely that they're all a part of it and their voices are heard. So I just really want to highlight the importance of providing multiple languages.
Agree. And actually, I would have to say that our partners at Clackamas County, particularly in H3S, have been really helpful in that regard. And we've also talked with PGA. So we're actually utilizing a lot of the different opportunities that Clackamas County uses to make sure that we connect with a broad range of district residents.
Mark?
Yeah, thank you. It's just a few questions. The community engagement calendar, what are the beginning and end dates for that? If you have not like month, doesn't it be to the day, but I'm just curious what those months are.
Great question, Mark. I would say, well, obviously, we're really rapidly approaching the end of February. So anything starting early in March, all the way through, I would say probably early August. It's not in our head, would be really helpful to know about.
All right, great. Sorry. So, and a couple other things. So, I think there's opportunities, at least I know of myself, there's opportunities for me to speak on behalf of the district about the systems plan to people like Willamette and Roseville. So I'm curious if that's going to be okay, and if there might be a script or a narrative that I would want to have in place to share with them.
Oh, I like that idea. We can double our efforts.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And in fact, he had just briefly showed a slide that offered kind of a menu of different options, and that was one of them. It's one that requires a little bit more time investment on your part, but if you're open to doing that, we would love to put together a script. We actually have our consultant team coming for a visit, likely in April. And they've offered to do some community navigator trainings as well. So that would be a great opportunity to kind of fine tune that script and get you prepared to have those conversations. That would be fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, great. I would love to do that. And so finally was, if an online survey of some kind might be a part of your outreach for those who might not be able to make it.
So absolutely. And our launch is expected to be May 1.
Okay. Last question is, will there be a community page, online community page where we can see the status of what's happening with the distance plan?
We will actually have a website.
Okay.
And the timeline for the website going live is what, Erin?
Likely the beginning of May as well. It's gonna take our consultant team a little bit of time to get that up and running, but in the meantime, we do have a system plan project page on the NCPRD website. So we'll be utilizing that until the project website is launched and fully functional.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Oh, I'm
No,
sorry,
no, sorry, something.
Okay, thanks, Karen.
I'm sorry, I missed the
No, I
flag.
didn't. You're good.
Your line jumping?
Trying.
Two separate questions. I believe in your background, when we spoke with you a few months ago, you had some experience in foundations. Is it appropriate to include foundations in a systems plan or the creation of a foundation? What brought this to mind was the acquisition of lands. And due to the age of the population, at least in where I live, Jennings Lodge, that might be something to consider. I don't know if that's an appropriate thing to account for. The second item, is there a plan to get in contact with the Oregon City School District in Jennings Lodge? That's part of the Oregon City School District across the Clackamas. I don't know, and just to throw that out there, that not just North Clackamas, but also Oregon City is important.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. So that, I think your earlier question, just, I want to clarify.
Yes.
So that, I think it was, are we going to, is this plan going to establish a private foundation as part of the process? Is
Or
that your question?
Get the ball rolling, somehow put that into something from just an idea, or not the creation of, but could it help facilitate this? Because this idea has been brought a few times within the DAC, and due to the opportunity mentioned, due to age, you know, everyone's gonna die, that this might be, oh, I know this. I mentioned, I think every meeting, maybe, sorry. Cindy does too, it's not just me. So, I heard her say that, yeah, so just, could we help push that idea forward? In any way via the systems plan? I don't know if that's appropriate.
So, so in the scope that we had not intended to frame up a private foundation. However, you're all going to be out in the community talking to a lot of people. So this creates an opportunity for all of you, if that's what you're interested in, to really use that as the right place to have that conversation as well. So that's how I would say this just creates an opportunity for a lot of community conversations. So feel welcome to use those community conversations in those venues to have that conversation, in addition to discussion about the system plan. I also think the system plan, from my perspective, is going to generate a lot of enthusiasm. It's a refresh about what people want and need from their parks and recreation. And so the intention here is really to get people inspired and excited and thinking about the future. And certainly that future will require some additional funding to come to the table, and private funding would be something that we would welcome.
Thank you.
Requests for help, I think it was Lisa and then Cindy and then Ally. Okay, great.
Mine's really quick. I just want to say, in terms of places to reach people, one of the best places to reach people is the Milwaukee Farmers Market on Sundays. And that reaches a lot of people, not just in Milwaukee. So I would definitely encourage you, it's hard to get a space there. They limit, the number of community. They only have one sort of community like tent for this kind of thing. So, you have to fight with other groups for the week, but you might want to get on their agenda sooner rather than later.
Thank you. We've been thinking about that, and that sounds like a fun event to attend this one.
Thanks. That's a great idea, by the way. So, in terms of the foundation, I think the findings of the system plan and recommendations could certainly support it, but it's not part of the system plan. And if y'all want a foundation, I think that's great, and something that the DAC could take up, but I wouldn't look to the system plan for that. But if it's something that you've been talking about for a while, you can get a subcommittee or bring it to this group and have that conversation.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to also make another comment, as you guys are all putting together the calendar of events, is to consider and compare it to the religious holidays that, in that calendar as well. And I know that there is not an official, but one that is widely used among organizations to be looking at like different holidays that are celebrated by many religions. So just to be mindful of that.
Yeah, when the topic came up about Oregon City School District, which a lot of people don't know is in NCPRD partially. Also, that the Gladstone School District really borders the district and right along Jennings Avenue, people don't know that, so there are kids that live in Gladstone that would have an impact or a benefit of being involved, so I would make sure we include Gladstone School District or the residents nearby as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mine was gonna be a quick question. I was just curious, when you formulate your calendar event, what's the anticipated, what, semi-finalized version of that as far as being able to release it? I know you're looking for input from DAC, I'm hoping maybe like by April or something, May.
Yeah, I think May is
Okay.
gonna be kind of the sweet spot where we shift gears
Okay.
from putting together the plan and the
Yeah.
calendar to actually implementation, although we're gonna be doing a little bit of that along the way too.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
But we can attend events, to be clear, we can attend events before May.
that, sure.
Yeah, we don't want to lose time.
Right.
Thank you, Mark.
And just how would we would just email you, Kia, if we have some dates of events that are happening in our sub area that we'd like to have you think about.
So Aaron will be reaching out to you, but you're
Okay.
always welcome to proactively email me or Aaron.
Okay, I'm sorry that I have another one. They just keep popping in. Have you guys considered or plan to use any sort of social media platform in trying to increase engagement?
So actually, we have someone on staff who's well versed in social media, and you probably all know Melina. And so she'll be really doing all of that work for us, and our consultant will be supporting some of the content.
Any questions?
Great. Thank you. So looking at time, we ended that item about 5 minutes early. Our next item is, I'm sorry, I can't have more than one thing open at a time. Member reports. I wanted to ask, as our board chair, if we could add a little bit of time to talk about a different agenda item that's not on our agenda. If we'd entertain the Wichita Center and the recent property discussions have been sort of topical. And I don't want to spend a lot of time, and I wanted to make sure that we talked about the system plan first, but would there be any objection? I should say, I propose we add that. Are there any objections from our DAC board here?
I think it's more of a process question. If we're gonna change the agenda, it's rightfully give the public 7 days notice to do so.
Okay, that's
right?
really
Because
helpful.
people would wanna participate in that, but if they're not aware, it's a sudden item. We as the Board of County Commissioners or the Board of Directors would, on any topic, would wanna make sure that we add something to the agenda, change the agenda, there's due notice given. But I imagine it's gonna come up under public comment, so it will come up, but that's the natural way probably.
Okay,
I let maybe Cindy or our legal counsel here opine as well, but we are, when we try to add things on the agenda, we're kind of pushed back on saying we didn't give notice on that particular item.
yeah, and I'll provide a direct response, and I think that understanding that transparency to public noticing meetings is really important. I'll piggyback on that to say right now, we don't have meeting notes or recordings on our website for the most recent couple meetings. I think that would be helpful to put up as well. Just in the spirit of making sure that all the information is out there that needs to be.
They should be.
And I was also noticing the ABC website. I don't think that it's showing all of our DAC board members, but I will check with staff because I want to make sure it's not my website but I was only coming up with Mark's name, and I know he's not the only person on the DAC.
Mark told us
That's quite
that.
fine, Mark.
Okay.
Melina is the keeper of all that, and so rather than go through 3 people, just contact Melina directly.
Okay, I will follow up with Melina, and thank you for the guidance on that. I think Grover,
Excuse me, Jeff, is there an issue, is there a legal issue from bringing up a new agenda item
It's just like,
without notice?
like Commissioner Savage noted, just the noticing portion of that. But if you're gonna have a comment, you're gonna have a discussion, you know, putting on the agenda, which is providing notice of what the body intends to discuss. Things always come up in public comment that you're free to respond to. That's probably the best way to handle it.
okay, great, thank you. Grover?
Great, that's perfect. I actually want to use my member report to talk about my concern of the thing about adding, changing the bylaws for one, but also the adding of the process of having alternates. And to be able to change the bylaws, we have to have them be on the agenda. So will that be on the agenda such that we can next time talk about changing the agenda? So y'all gonna have your private meeting and then we're gonna get to have this regular meeting. Well, you know, it's like, it's supposed to be a discussion of this group, so there can be stuff that seeds it, that'd be great. But I wanted to be able to follow that, for it to be able to change the bylaws, it has to have been noted on the agenda that that's gonna be discussed in a subsequent meeting. And then we can vote on it, and then it has to go to county council, and then it has to be approved by the board. So it'll take a while, but for us to be able to move, it has to be on our agenda. So my question is, how will that be on the agenda? That's part of my, how do we work? And then the other thing I want to talk about is our roles, responsibility, and is this a body that is to work well and have trust amongst us or not? That's a big concern I have, whether this is a body of constituents representing different vantage points, or we in fact, as it says in our bylaws, we're here to represent the best for the entire district. And I don't know that that's actually, I have, for me, I have concerns whether we are in fact being district-wide, and I have a question, particular things have been in print, whether we can, where does trust come when comments go out in public that are pretty undermining of the system that we're working at. So that's that's for me talking to people in my sub area. So my DSC members are concerned about, not my DSC, my sub area members are concerned about, what are we doing here? What are the roles of the DAC? And are we building trust amongst us to accomplish what's in the best interest of the district? What's in print doesn't help support that. So that's my report. I don't know where to go with it, but one was the thing about having in the bylaws be in our agenda. And then 2, what is the discussion about who we are, and are we a trust-built roles, meeting the roles that we are outlined in our bylaws?
Thank you. I'll take the privilege of the chair and direct response. We probably won't be able to address that question in the next 10 minutes of our member reports.
Right.
But I would like to make the chance so all of the sub areas in the community center can give a report. And also encourage us to submit the agenda requests so that we can make sure that things we want to talk about are on the agenda. I'm talking to myself included there. I'll call on Joel next.
Well, I'll just do my own report, then I want to ask a question.
Great.
But I just wanted to quickly mention, the division report had lots of things going on at the Milwaukee Community Center. I know the Lunar New Year, you had ones mentioned as well, but the housing fair that's coming up at the end of March is actually accepting vendors for that. So I wanted to encourage everyone in their sub areas to let people know if they have an interest in being part of the Spring Housing and Senior Services Fair. It was well attended, their last go around, and they have space for other vendors if they have an interest in doing so. Also, continued need for Meals on Wheels drivers. So if you're interested in volunteering, please encourage people in your sub areas to do so. And our board at the Clackamas County Advisory Board to Milwaukee Community Center has, I believe, 2 vacancies right now, and would love to have people show up, taking a meeting. They're very exciting, and I'm sure once you attend one, you will want to join our board. So please come check it out. That's it.
Great pitch. Thank you, Joel. Lisa?
Well, first off, I don't, I'm not sure what Grover was getting at about, articles, but if he's talking about articles about Milwaukee leaving the district, I think those are, I feel like I do feel trust in this room, and I do feel like there's some common purpose in this room. And I don't think that that discussion has to derail that. I think that will go on its path and it will happen, or not. I mean, you know, the discussion will go forward, but I feel like there is trust in this room. I trust the work that they're gonna do on the bylaws, you know, I don't feel like I have to be at the table for that. So just want to say that in terms of reports, Milwaukee is finally moving forward with our 3 ARPA funded parks that are gonna have their groundbreaking ceremony on March 9th at Balfour Street Park, which is near Providence Milwaukee Hospital, for those who don't know where Balfour Street is. We hope to have those parks open by October.
Ally?
Just to piggyback off of what Mary Lee was saying, yes, we have our groundbreaking at, I'm gonna talk, I always get the names confused, Balfour on March 9th. So we really encourage everyone to join us. I also like to echo what Grover had mentioned about us acting as a body of what's best for the entire district. And so we would really love to see you all there because our parks are open to everyone. So the more people we can celebrate with, the better the occasion.
My flag up, I'm sub area 3, which is on the east side of our district. I don't have a real meaty report for us. A lot of the activities in the community are really based out of school or other venues. The Justice property has a Friends of Justice property group. The activity has been a little, you know, winterized. It's been a little slow over the winter. But we have the support of the district if we want to go clean up trash. It's definitely looking okay right now. There's also larger conversations at our CPO about getting more folks in the community in general involved. So that gives me a lot of optimism that, you know, there's ways for folks to plug in, and I don't think we always find them. And so I'm really happy that lots of people are asking questions, you know. Even if I'm not the right person to answer your question, you know, asking the question helps us get to the answers, right? So I'll finish it up there. Thank you.
I can continue with the professional complaint I keep on getting from one individual, a neighbor who rides a bicycle, Jennings Lodge or Jennings and 99E, the lack of a diagonal there. I know it's a state operated highway, but getting across that, he complains to me whenever he sees me. I'll say it.
Is that the trolley trail crossing?
Yes, the trolley trail, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
It's pretty, it's scary.
yeah, it's 2 crosswalks, yeah.
I
Mark?
did one, on the complaint level, I'll just mention this, that I've had several people approach me about the dog park at Clackamas, at the North Clackamas Park. And I thought I'll just check with the staff, just that they've had some dissatisfaction with it. And so I thought I'll just talk to the staff about that later, and I'm curious to know what it is exactly they don't like. And I haven't been there a long time.
Dissatisfaction because dogs are biting or because the grounds aren't well taken care of?
The grounds,
Okay.
the grounds and the signage. Yeah.
If I can, I have a couple of questions that didn't fall anywhere else. I saw in the district report that there was a tree that fell at Concord, and it spurred for me a question of, NCPRD's sort of, role in emergency management. That's probably, is that a question or a topic we can talk about at a later meeting? Is there interest there? It's my straw poll. Candy,
Was that, which house?
Yes.
I'm so sorry, okay, different old school. And everyone's safe, okay?
Yes.
It wasn't
Okay, that's great to hear. The other question I had is that, there's an announcement for, an event at Milwaukee Center for board gaming for teenagers called Game On, March the 2nd. Is that, or can you drop your kids off, or do you need to stay with them?
It is a drop,
It is a drop off, okay, that looks really cool.
and it
There's-
has specified times for drop off and pickup.
It may not be teenager cool, but there is a board game that exists for building a dog park. I'll pass it to them, sorry.
Okay. I did have a question for staff, I guess. I saw in the report about 33 people getting firewood at the Milwaukee Center from that, and I know that firewood collection thing has been going on for years, but you know, I learned a lot in the last couple of years about indoor air quality and how fires are not really a great way to be heating your homes for your own health and for the health of people around you. And there's a lot of federal money right now to help people who are on limited incomes to buy heat pumps in particular to upgrade heating systems. I wondered, I mean, that's obviously not part of NCPRD's portfolio to advise people on that, but I wondered if there was any connection between trying to connect those 33 people with somebody in the county who can help explore those options for them and help inform them about some of those, you know, federal incentives that are available, because there's like I think it's $8,000, which is a lot. It's more than half of the cost of a heat pump. So I mean, there's some really good incentives right now to help people upgrade their heating systems. And is there any way we can put those two things together?
I can share that information, and we provide information on different things that are available as far as resources.
Yes.
That firewood though was a lot of people, so that they have backup if power went out. So that was really the main focus and allow a lot of that, some of that extra pickup.
Yeah.
And then we have that ice one.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you.
Director Salas?
Yeah, I just want to help, maybe, you all maybe pursue something. So Siri, you brought up the crosswalk.
Yeah.
It might be a friendly suggestion, might be, you can ask your group members here, your fellow colleagues, to say, you know, do you want to help or make a motion to direct staff, or do I need to do that? Can staff look into it and make sure it's an action somehow, or to move the ball?
Done. I'll take the
Because
suggestion,
if
yeah,
you just say something, it may
Just
not get
urgently,
acted on.
Yeah, yeah.
My 25 years of experience, you know, so sometimes you gotta be a little bit more, you know, but, you know, that would have to be lifted up to ODOT, like
Yeah.
be through the NCPRD and then through ODOT, and I can help with that lift at
Awesome.
the ODOT level.
Yeah.
But I can't help at the NCPRD level without your body
Done.
agreeing to do
Done.
that.
Done. Appreciate the advice. Take
I
it.
recognize Ms. Mary.
I'd like to make a motion for NCPRD, the staff to kindly look into adding a diagonal or seeking to figure out how to incorporate a diagonal crosswalk across 99 in Jennings.
Which is the trolley trail.
Which is the extension of the trolley trail. If for those who don't know, it crosses over 99, a state highway, and to go from one end to the next, you must go on 2 crosswalks. So depending on your direction, you're opening yourself up to 2 collisions from the side.
I'll second. Any objections?
As long as I get my hamburger.
Okay, it sounds like it won't interfere with any hamburgers. The motion is, to ask staff to research the crossing at Trolley Trail in 99. Sounds like, we can put it to a vote, or I think it carries unanimously. Any objections? Okay, I'm gonna say motion passes.
Thank you, that's very.
And I will also note that, there is one on the Springwater has one across Johnson Creek Boulevard. They do have
Yeah,
it. Now,
yeah.
Johnson Creek Boulevard is not a state highway.
Yeah.
It's probably was easier there than it is gonna be on McLaughlin, but just it is an example of one on a nearby trail. So,
We have extra pain, don't we?
You know, ODOT does a lot of their trainings at Clackamas Community College, just happen to be there. I'm kidding. It's a great facility. I think that takes us into the district monthly report.
Thank you.
Are we good on member reports?
We need to get you a gavel. I think.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Ocean for that. Someone got it.
Coming,
Oh, you got it.
it's coming.
All right.
It's okay. It's hard to find a gold on Mega.
It's not Galentine's Day, it's Gaveltine's Day.
That's right. So a few things I just want to update you. I know it's been mentioned a couple of times, but Candy asked me to, and I want to make sure the Lunar New Year celebration at the Milwaukee Center. This is Sunday from 12 to 12:30. Also last Saturday, my little Valentine family dance. It was a great event with 100 participants. That's very cool. Okay, spring registration is open and classes are filling up. Hoopers basketball. It's halfway through the season for kindergarten through 12. That's great. And we've got over 1,600 participants and over 170 teams. Coached by over 280 volunteer coaches. My God. Typically have 90 games each weekend. So yeah, the total number of gyms used this season is 16 between Clackamas school property and NCS. So thank you.
Can I ask a quick question before you move on? Just like glance over, as far as the website refresh, I know that's in the works right now for NCPRD. Could we get an update on that occasionally here? Because I know that's gonna dovetail into a lot of things that you can system can
Yes,
like that.
absolutely.
And
Yep.
that's long overdue.
You got it.
Thank
It is
you.
actively working on it. So yes.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
On that same topic, I'd like to also on that, because I really hope that we can get an effective, I don't know, call it table of contents. Currently in the current iteration, it's difficult to find things on the website. And so if we could look at how to make that more workable and possibly an index, because Google search works a lot better than the search on the site currently. But secondarily, since my first day on this group, we talked about wanting an effective, viable parking lot. So we had all those discussions and people made all those recommendations as an example at the end of the year, the various requests for potential use for funding. So where's that listed? Where can people know what that is? How will people feel heard? And then what action steps, not guaranteeing it'll be happening, but what action steps, where are they as opposed to lost? That's piece one on the parking lot. Secondarily is I loved what Heather used to put together, which a chart that talked about all the things that were in the works over a period of time, where they are coming next, what's after that, and then what's beyond. And both of those are modeled, in my opinion, off of a great website update that is in the Clackamas County transportation and planning website. And they have where everything that comes in from the outside world gets posted there within a hierarchy of what their duties, commitments, etc., are for their organization. And then the second one is the ongoing place to display where projects are, like the website or any other one. And I just, we've asked for this for a long time, and since you're in the process of revamping that, this would be a perfect time to consider putting that in use. So I request that we, Commissioner Savas said, we actually make that something that is being included in what's going to be looking at. How do we let the world know where we are and what's going forward using the website as a place that it can be posted?
Why don't we have Lena come to the next meeting and talk to us about what information you gathered for the website, what the thought process is, what other information, which is the process. So why don't we have her come and then you can ask those questions of her, since she is the expert on it. And I think rather than communicating, because I think it's more than a one-off conversation. So I would suggest that we invite Lena to the next meeting.
And I can update you, go because I work with Melina hand in hand. We've actually started some of these processes. We've had some conversations with Milwaukee. She's going to reach out to a lot of people to get that specific information And I will say, they reached out to us to initiate the conversation because we've been talking about this, but we are in the process of securing a vendor to help us update our website. So that's where we're at currently, right now.
Okay, good. And so that's the people who are actually doing it, that'd be Melinda and those folks, but I'm actually, that was a thing directly for, development. Okay, I'd love to show you those websites that already exist and how easy would it be to adapt, but their page is not.
Can I go ahead with the director's report, please, because we're running out of time?
Oh, I'm sorry, I raised my hand, I got to speak.
Is that okay? Please start. So first on the agenda, director recruitment. We have interviewed initially 11 people, I think between 26 and 28 people applied. We interviewed 11, screened 11, we're interviewing with an interview panel tomorrow, 6 people. And then that will move on to the finalists will meet with staff, with DAC, with the board. So we'll get you that schedule as soon as we have it. Okay. The next thing I wanted to mention, the budget. The budget committee interviews haven't happened yet. For people who applied for the budget committee, the whole budget process has been moved forward a week. I think it's got a week. And so in terms of when the budget hearings will be, they're going to be a week later than they were originally announced. And so we'll let folks know as we interview them, but that has changed. There's a couple of properties I do want you to know about that we're in the process of figuring out kind of next steps. And I don't know if folks are aware of the Highland property. So there's a chain, it's called the chain of title issue involving tract E, located north of Southeast Highland Loop. And the property is, Jeff, how 3.5 acres, approximately 3.5 acres. This property has been on our books, I don't know for how long, so, but there's been a series of transfers around this property. And our name was on it, other names are on it. The Highland Association has been maintaining it forever. And basically what we're going to do is called a quit claim, yes. So that we can clear up the who owns the property and who's viewed the property, so that they can go forward and have it all kind of just get cleaned up. I'm not saying it well, Jeff, you can say it better, but are you familiar with this property? Highland property, okay.
Not at all.
Okay,
And
Is that in the
NCPRD is quit claiming, or the other people are quit claiming?
We're claiming, so we have another property nearby, but this is one that the developer attempted to transfer to us back in, I think it was 1993. And they didn't put the wrong name on there. So that didn't help anything, because that's something that we've had in sort of our catalog of properties. We haven't done anything with it, haven't maintained it. The homeowners association received it then in 1999 from the same developer. If I remember the dates correctly, I don't have it in front of me. But then they have legal issues right now because they want to maintain it. There's property owners across this parcel that aren't part of their homeowners association that have encroached into this area, and they want to resolve those problems. And so part of this is, we don't have it, we haven't had an involvement in it. They've been doing all the work on it, and it doesn't have any kind of, as I understand it from staff, no reason to want this programming. At best, a trail, that's something we'll probably work out with homeowners association down the road if they're interested. But they're not now. They're definitely not now. And they have other issues they want to take care of first. And so, yes, we're just gonna quick claim it to them, and they can go on about their way and have their lawsuit against the people instead of us inheriting a lawsuit against the people encroaching into the park. So, if we have a purpose to have it, it's one thing that we don't. So step out of their dispute.
and the other property that we are I just wanted to let you know about, it's called the Vogel property. Are people familiar with that one? The
Is that
Vogel
in-
property. So it's 14
Is that in
point,
this packet? I'm sorry.
excuse me?
Is what you're reading from in this packet?
No,
Oh.
it's
I-
not.
I
I'm
missed
just, this
that.
is just information I'm sharing with you.
Okay,
So this is 14.3 acre property that was originally purchased by the city of Damascus with Metro funds. And then when the city of Damascus was disincorporated, the property was transferred to Clackamas and then to NCPRD. And so this property lies outside our boundary. And so we, let's see, following the withdrawal of Happy Valley, the property is no longer serving district residents. And so although we have been maintaining the property for a while, so we are in the process of just having conversations with Happy Valley about what to do about this property. But I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up about it, because again, it's not in the district, it's kind of this dangling participle, I guess, but we're just trying to clean this up, and we'll work with Happy Valley and let you know about that. Thanks. And let's see if I had anything else here. No, that's all I had.
Okay, Mr. has a question?
Where's the Highland Park property?
Oh, Jeff,
So Highland side,
Yeah.
Right at the south side of Mount Talbot, looks like.
It's on this map?
it's,
Okay.
I don't think,
Neil-
I'm not sure if that's it, but basically it's in this Mather Road area.
I can show you actually, there's a parcel right nearby, it's green there, but by your pen. That we do own. Yeah, so that's it, it's just Highland side property, that's what we do own. And so the other side of this road is a little chunk right in here, nearby that they attempted to transfer us to us first. And so it's in the area, but not something we can link together with the trail right now with them. And it's too small for us to program, and it's like a ravine, so it's something using this marketing language. But and it's, yeah, we'll let them have it.
can you show where Vogel is up there?
Google is kind of out here, and it's covered up by this part of it. It's outside of the district out here, and it was their bond dollars that the Metro gave to the city of Damascus to get that park. And you can keep it as a natural area, and so that's one of those things where there's a lot of restrictions on funds, and it's more appropriate for Happy Valley to have it potentially, or, you know, it's a bit of a process, and we're just going to them on it.
Okay, so it sounds like that was information sharing. Do you have any additional updates? Great, thank you, Cindy. I think that brings us to our public comment period. We have 10 minutes scheduled for that. I think we'll probably go over time. Okay. So we'll do 3 minutes for public comments, three each. And Marie, could I ask you to bring a chair forward, and I'll call Mitzi Bauer first.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Yeah, my name is Mitzi Bauer. I'm a member of the North Plaquemine School Board, and I've lived in the district for about 42 years. My address, if you need that for the record?
No.
Okay. I'm deeply concerned about the Plaquemine County Commissioners recently terminated the lease for a dozen children's services at Wichita Center. The services that we have there are a full hub of support for low-income families. The programs housed there include the McKinney Mental Services for unhoused students. We have about 300 students that are taking that program. The North Plaquemine Food Pantry, the WIC Nutrition Program, the North Plaquemine Clothes Closet, Head Start and Ready Set Go preschool. We have 5 Plaquemines. North Plaquemine Dental Program, Plaquemine County Behavioral Health, North Clackamas Education Foundation, summer enrichment programs, and after-school programs. Last year, these programs had more than 15,300 visits from low-income children across our community. Wichita serves children from 32 schools. 44% are students of color. 39% of our students qualify for free and reduced cost lunches. 23% of our students are English learners. 11% of our students are from highly mobile families. And close to 300 have no permanent housing. Wichita Center serves all of these groups, providing a lifeline to low-income families. For 6 weeks, North Plaquemine schools have repeatedly reached out to discuss purchasing the building, but the county has not responded. I strongly urge our county commissioners to be transparent, share their plans for Wichita, and to meet with school district leaders to work toward a solution that will not harm our vulnerable children and families. Wichita is a public property, and the public should be involved and informed about its future use. I was just made aware of the frequently asked questions, and we're going to be fact checking these because some of them are not in alignment with what I know. And I think there's maybe at least one piece of information that's in this. Thank you, and I appreciate your time and your service to our community.
Thank you.
If I may, I just say that the FAQs are, as we know, are pretty accurate. If it seems like there might be a communication problem, again, I don't know. Between the staff that are authorized to negotiate this, and so Cindy is our person, and there's another Cindy who works for you, so that's where the communication is going. The board of county commissioners never refuse anything. So it's not at our level, it's at a staff level.
But the decision does rest with the county commissioner.
There's no decision being made. Yeah, we are
Not yet,
responding
but
to,
we want
we
it
are responding to
transparent.
the letter you sent us,
Mhm,
that your staff sent us, but you were CC'd on the letter,
mhm.
and we're responding to that.
Yeah, the communication is not going forward as I understand. They've been reaching out and it's not coming back.
It might be a good idea to have the school board then send us a letter to the board of directors or the board of commissioners, either one or both, and say, you know, to establish a line of communication, because we thought when the letter was sent by Cindy, I don't know her last name, and that letter was sent.
That's probably the other thing. that-
Yeah, the other Cindy, that,
Cindy did.
and was copied by the deal, that she was your person selected. So,
Correct.
so that's
Correct.
where the conversation is at.
She wanted to get that process started. We knew the lease isn't up for until 2026. We did not ask for the lease to be notified in December and that we have 6 months. And now we have 4.5, where we're trying to find a piece of property or backup. If this doesn't work, we would like this to continue, but that communication is not going, it seems to be one way.
Yeah,
is
I
my
might-
impression.
Yeah, I appreciate that. With all due respect, you might take a look at, because it's not a lease. I don't think that's the other confusion about this. People think that we are leasing the property. The school district is the one who's collecting all the rents. The NCPRD is not seeing a penny of the people who are renting that. As a matter of fact, the county is paying the school district for use of the building that the Parks District owns.
That is not my understanding of the intergovernmental agreement. And even that wasn't all portrayed. That, I mean, there were the 3 properties and $14 million in cash was exchanged. And it was also presented to us that then we lease that building for some of our services and other services too, from the parks.
Yeah, happy to talk with you offline and maybe
Yeah,
have,
well, we
put
did
the
try to
agreement in
do
front, put the agreement in front of us and maybe discuss it with your staff, and see what the agreement says.
We have, and I have it right here. I've read it many times.
Okay.
So
So,
we can maybe have that conversation. Cindy and I have communicated, we've been waiting for some information that we just recently got. And we'll be discussing with the board on Tuesday. So, so yes, there has been a delay and we've just been waiting for information that we're finally getting.
But I will say, it's not fair to say that the county commissioners refuse anything, especially if you don't even know about it.
well, I know the decision lies with you, but what we're looking for is that communication to keep. I know that they were reached out to, and we were supposed to have meetings in January. A couple were canceled after that, and then there's nothing since then.
I'm not aware of any of that, and if we need to change the negotiating structure, then
Yeah.
maybe the board should talk about changing the negotiating structure,
Okay.
but we have left that to staff.
Okay.
And a lot of the property negotiations do go through staff, they don't go at the elected level,
Mhm.
so.
Okay.
So, but I was not aware of any refusal or any outreach, and you have my phone number, Missy, you can
Yes,
call me
yes,
anytime.
yes, and I know someone, we have been trying, I will call you again.
Okay.
Okay, appreciate it. I have tried to reach out to other commissioners too, and haven't gotten it. So, but thank you, we'll be talking. And that's what, we want a solution here, and as soon as possible, because we can try to find another location. And then to have to move all of those too, isn't it take root? We're down to 4.5 months.
Yeah, if I may, when we got the letter in October from the school district, I will say that in a way, there was we were relieved, and to some degree. And the commissioners, because we were trying to figure out what to do with these 2 properties that need repairs and need some investment in, we don't have the money to put the money in the properties. So when we saw your suggestion of transfer, we slowed down, you know, doing like an estimate of the buildings and what they needed, because we didn't go that far. We kind of stopped in our processes, waiting for the assessment, but we didn't do an estimate. We didn't go that far. So we have been on the hopes and assuming that there would be a property transfer, the sale of the property, and nothing's impeded that we're aware of.
I guess that's not my impression, but it has to be, there's a lot of work that needs to go into that building too. So the communication and the needs to negotiate, needs to go on in good faith. And I do want to throw out there that in the past, there have been transactions for property like with Parrot Creek for $1 with the title. This building needs a lot of work. Wichita Center needs a new roof. It needs other facilities inside. And so we had a price that, you know, we sold it to you, and we want that to be in good faith, the negotiation that's taking place.
Yeah. And
So
the other,
somehow there is a breakdown.
yeah, the other confusion is that people are conflating the board of directors of the Parks District, which has a certain interest and a legal obligation, and what the Board of County Commissioners. Even though we're the same people, we wear different hats and different responsibilities.
Mhm.
So Parrot Creek was not transferred by the Parks District.
It
The
was by
county is not,
county.
the county is not in the financial difficulty constraints the Park District is in.
But the county is making the decision about this property, correct?
I'm gonna step in. We're
I know.
running up against time, but
We are too.
Sorry.
in the spirit of Valentine's Day and getting communication going, my heart is full, and I hope these conversations continue. I do want to go and recognize our next public speakers though. So I'd like to ask Leslie Robinette. Great. And then we'll have 2 more comments after that. Leslie, thank you.
Good evening. Thanks for having us tonight. My name is Leslie Robinette and I live near Heavy Knots Park. I've lived there for, 36 years, I think. I'm very frustrated. Clackamas County Commissioners recently terminated the lease for a dozen programs serving low-income children at Wichita Center. It seems ironic that the reason given for this is that Human Services is not a major mission of the Parks District, especially given that several times tonight you referred to programs and events planned for Milwaukee Center that really fall into that same basket. Wichita Center is in one of the highest poverty neighborhoods in Clackamas County. And last year alone, the center served nearly 8,000 families. Where the location is key, it's easily accessible by a major bus line, and many families can walk there. This location was carefully chosen to meet the needs of low-income families that have limited transportation. It's vital that Wichita programs are located together. This makes it easy for families to discover and access multiple programs in the same visit. Also, co-location enables those programs to collaborate. That improves efficiency and customer service. If Wichita's programs are forced to move in June, services to children may be disrupted for months. Their lifeline will be cut off, leaving them without a nearby food pantry, homeless services, emergency dental services, or mental health support. I'm worried these programs may end up scattered across the community. That would lead families to travel farther for services, spending more money they can't afford. North Clackamas Schools has repeatedly reached out to county commissioners about purchasing the Wichita building. And after 6 weeks, they have yet to reply or set a meeting date. I really strongly urge our county commissioners to meet with the school district immediately to discuss selling the Wichita building to North Clackamas Schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Grover, question for you, if I may. Did we alternate Zoom and in-person comments, or?
Well, good question. Actually, the preference in other meetings is to have the in-person people speak first and the Zoom people follow, but that's.
Let's go with that.
Okay.
All right, I'll call Stephanie Rose, please.
Give them credit for coming.
Hey, thank you guys for having us here tonight, and I want to recognize that we recognize you are in a decision-making body about the Wichita Center, so we really appreciate you giving us the opportunity to speak here tonight. My name is Stephanie Rose, I'm in sub-area 1, by the way, in unincorporated Clackamas County. So I just, like you've heard, am concerned about what will happen with the Wichita Center property, what will happen with the thousands and thousands of families and students that are served there. And I wanted to talk about, there was a January 29th Pamplin Media article where Commissioner West was quoted as saying that the commissioners share the concern of displacing services to the most vulnerable. And I can appreciate that. What we're seeing though is a network of community members that are seeking answers right now that aren't getting them. They're not being told what's going on. The process isn't being transparent. Information is not being put out. And there's a general feeling that if that concern was that strong, that these conversations about what would happen to the building, the school districts wanting to buy it, should have taken place before given the 180 days to vacate the building, not leaving scrambling going on right now to figure out how we're going to continue these important services for these families and these students. So we're really here to encourage those lines of communication to open, to start being transparent with the community about what's happening, about what the plans are, about what the Parks District Board is looking at. We have started an action network of community members because there are so many concerned members right now. We have a website going, we have a group on social media that I encourage all of you to join. It's just simply called the Friends of the Wichita Center right now. We've been publishing the articles that have gone out in Pamplin Media. We've been publishing anything that we can find online, any information, just to kind of keep people to know what's going on. So we would really appreciate our Parks and Rec Board, the commissioners, and the District Advisory Committee and staff being transparent in that process as well, and letting the community know what's happening, as well as, of course, working with the school district for the sale of that property, so we can hopefully keep those vital services in that vital location. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And do we still have a person on Zoom?
He's listed choice, so let me see. Yeah, Ira, can you hear us?
Just hit the screen.
Ira, can you hear
Okay.
us?
Yes, I've unmuted. I think we're good now. Right, you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to speak on this very important topic. My name is Ira Herbs. I live in unincorporated Clackamas County. I'm a retired school teacher who spent most of my 35 years working in at-risk, at-need schools and areas. The Wichita Center should be a point of pride for Clackamas County and for the Park Service. This is a place where people that are most at need have a one-stop shop on a bus line to get the services that they so desperately need. I think that we need to look at ourselves and say, are we protecting those that are at most need in our communities? And the Wichita Center answers that question astoundingly loudly that yes, we do. We're making it easy, and we're providing options, and we're providing access. And I behoove the board, the county, and the school district to come up with a way to transfer the property, provide improvements, and make sure that we continue to support the people that are most desperate and vulnerable amongst our neighbors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Does that conclude our public comments? Thank you.
Just want to make one comment on this, and that is that you have the FAQs. We believe they're accurate. If there's any inaccuracy there, I'll certainly apologize and we'll straighten it out, but we're relatively sure that everything there is accurate. If there's any record of any outreach requesting a meeting by the Board of School District, and we didn't see it. I'll apologize for that too, and I will check with our staff and administrator who's out this week. But we are unaware of any outreach from the school district to the county commission or to the Parks District Board of Directors whatsoever. So we were working in good faith, and we'll continue to work in good faith. And we actually thought, the board, my colleagues and myself thought that everything was going along fine, and with the assumption that the school district was going to acquire the property. There's been no change. And I apologize to all the other public that reached out to me and spoke to me about this, and I'm upset because they're upset, and they're upset about things that are not factually correct. So let's straighten it out. Let's just trust each other that we'll sort this out and we'll get to the bottom of it. But we will stand by these FAQs.
And I want to say thank you to all of our district advisory committee and staff and Commissioner Savas, Director Savas, excuse me, for spending a little extra time to talk about an important topic. I think it's time for us to close out the meeting. Thank you. I do have what I hope is a quick topic. At the next meeting, I believe that Mark is unavailable. This will be in March. I may or may not be unavailable. If there's any volunteers who can help chair if I'm not available, can you email me offline? Make sure we have that covered. I'll be about 1 week post surgery, so hopefully it'll be okay, but just want to have a little backup plan. And with that, we're done.
Thank you.
Thank you.